order the Guilford Selectboard meeting of Monday, December 9th, 2019. I would like to recognize the public. Hello, public. How are you? And we ask you to sign in if you haven't already. And are there any additions to the agenda?
I have none, and the rules of procedure are attached with the sign-in sheet.
Thank you for pointing that out. Any changes to the agenda order?
I also have none.
All right. I would like a motion. Have you all read the minutes? And would someone like to motion to approve them?
I shall.
Do I have a second?
Certainly.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries
4 minutes
unanimously.
ahead.
Highway
Sign,
update.
please.
Peter.
Dan was not able to make it today because of a personal engagement, and basically they've been doing 3 things: plowing, sanding, and salting.
Yes.
And they've done a few equipment repairs, but relatively minor, he said. I spoke to him this afternoon when he was on his way home from the garage, and that's it. And he said they're just kind of watching what's going to happen the next 2 nights. He said just be careful because there might be some cold spots in a few areas of town, so watch out for ice.
The dirt roads.
Yeah, it's going to be probably icy. But it's very warm out now.
Yeah.
On to new business, the Brook Community Center quarterly update, 10 minutes.
Sure. Would you like us to come up?
Sure.
Please.
Well,
Wheel on up.
Hi.
You drive your own car.
I know, it's nice. So, as we're wrapping up 2019, we're looking ahead to our next calendar year and filling in the preferred dates from our partners. I've gotten a few dates from the town, but really just a few, and I haven't heard from most commissioners. I think I got one date in January, and then we've got Green Up Day on there. But if there's anything else that the town, any other dates the town has, you can just let me know.
Yep.
Sooner.
Pre-town meeting.
I've got
That's not
pre-town
us.
meeting on there from the Grange.
It's the Grange who does
Yeah.
that, so they're
Oh,
responsible.
so does that need an action step that we should take to
I think you already
provide
have
those
to. You
dates?
did write to,
We've done that.
Yep, you guys already talked about that,
Yep.
at their last quarterly meeting, and I followed up with Jamie and then sent out an email to all the relevant folks in the town, and said, you need to get these dates to Jamie by, I don't remember, December 18th or something, I said like that?
yeah, something like that.
And haven't.
Yeah, we haven't heard much.
Neither of us have heard much from anyone. Penny will respond to you, but she's on vacation.
Okay,
So that will be, she's on vacation for Christmas, so
Mhm.
it
Okay.
might be that week in between Christmas and New Year's, you might hear from her.
okay.
Obviously, we're gonna have voting in November.
Mhm.
Other
Does
than
the
that,
planning commission meet there or here?
Sometimes.
occasionally, and you haven't heard anything from the rec commission?
No, but I can reach out to them directly.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll just follow up with another email to everyone.
Okay, just to make sure that you get priority.
Yeah,
Great.
well, thank you.
The other thing I'm doing is updating the contracts from our partners. So we've done Guilford Cares and the Grange, and I'm now looking at the town contract. And I'm hoping we can maintain the same partnership fee of $5,000 that was for the previous year onto the next year. So
That's in the budget.
It is in the budget.
That's okay.
so I can draft that next contract and get it signed.
Yep.
And then the other update is that we are hopefully closing in on the capital campaign goal, thanks to this matching grant, which you've probably heard about.
Yes.
So
Exciting.
we're really crossing our fingers to start construction next year, which will affect the calendar, probably mostly the library. So
Yeah.
we've got to talk about that. We've got some time, but we can start planning. Well, I'm not sure what we can do, but
Right.
So what big chunks are going to be completed
Everything.
in the new phase? It's all going to be finished.
It's all at
In
the same
theory, it's
time,
the
yeah.
rest of the
That's
project,
great.
although we all know how rests of projects
Yeah.
go. But it's the big piece, what we've done already is the smaller piece.
Mm-hmm.
This is a complete redo of all the systems. HVAC, electric, plumbing, new well, new septic,
the lift.
the lift, which everybody's waiting for.
Yeah.
Insulation, complete weatherization. And that's just kind of the big pieces. There's like just everything.
We're gonna have a beautiful community
We are,
center.
we are,
Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty
And-
exciting.
And it's amazing that the town of Guilford, the residents of Guilford had contributed significantly
Yeah,
philanthropically to
Yes.
that project, and that's
Yeah.
really something to pat ourselves on the back about.
I think so. We think we're past the $1 million mark. It's always hard to tell
We're
with
just pa- yeah, we're just
grants and
past it.
pledges and stuff like that, but that's pretty exciting for a small town like this.
Yeah. Anything else?
We've started an Instagram account, so follow us on Instagram. We're
Okay.
active on Facebook too, but we're now Brattleboro Community Center or hashtag BBCC_VT. Get that on camera, so.
Maybe you should say that again directly to our studio audience.
Yes. Well, it's Brattleboro Community Center, and then the username is BBCC_VT. We also have 2 new board members, Diane Murphy and Tasha Tillman.
Oh, great.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Terrific.
And so they've been at 2 board meetings so far, and it's great having them on board.
Yeah.
Great. Do you consider that it's being well used in your view?
Yes, so since I started in March, there's sort of been a steady increase of use and more
Fantastic.
inquiries. We are getting more views on Google. You know, I get a report from Google Business, how many views we're getting each week, and, you know, I've gotten requests from, you know, some wedding requests from out of state, and there was
Wow.
yeah, it was just exciting. I mean, didn't follow through, but at least the
But they're
inquiries are
coming.
coming
They're
in,
curious.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is fun, yeah.
We hope for a lot more once the building is as fully usable as it could be.
Right.
We obviously have the problem of winter use and accessibility. If somebody wants to have an event upstairs, they have to climb the stairs, you know, all that stuff that we still have to work on. And we hope the building will be much more appealing to renters.
That's it?
I think that's it. So I
Pretty much,
think
yeah.
you've already answered the other question. I have just a technical question about the fee is
Yes.
now in the budget, so it will not be there's nothing else we have to know about or do, because we're very proactive. We like to do what we're supposed to
Yeah.
do.
Hope it's in the budget.
Hope so. Okay, well, you can think about that afterwards.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and thank you very much, and we
Yeah.
really appreciate it. The support is wonderful, and
It's a great partnership.
it is, it's really good, and it's working.
All right, on
It'll only
to
become better.
the grand juror appointment.
We can stay here for this item.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, Don McLean,
Yes.
in your vast wisdom and experience, can you define for us in 2 sentences what a grand juror does?
A grand juror traditionally, in the old days, was a sort of a magistrate and a prosecutorial officer, and could actually prosecute small criminal situations. In the modern era, that has all been taken over by the state's attorney and the court system. So it's a little bit of a vestige, but one that I rather like. And I've been a grand juror for quite a few years.
You must be exhausted.
Oh, it's a tiring job, and but I'm willing to keep doing it. There are 2 grand jurors, and they're elected annually for 1-year terms from the floor at town meeting.
Oh, from the floor, I see.
Right. And with the passing of Mert Garland, who was a grand juror for some number of years before I ever started, we have a vacancy, or you have a vacancy. And I have spoken to someone who is willing to be appointed to fill out the unexpired term until town meeting, and that is Jamie. Turns out by some mishap, she doesn't have any town offices yet.
Right.
So do we have to have a motion for that?
You do.
Okay, so it is an interim appointment, right, until town meeting, and then it could roll over if you were from the floor, nominated from the floor, you could be having that position.
Right.
You could roll over for all of us.
Do I have a motion then?
Practice that.
Oh, yes, what's your last name again, Jamie?
Durham.
Do you live in town?
Durham. I do.
Excuse my ignorance, but yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, okay, well, I'd like to nominate Jamie Durham for grand juror.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Sounds great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
You have a good
congratulations.
tutelage
Very
teacher.
much. I I
Thank you
look
very
forward
much.
to-
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
And we both have other obligations, or we would stay and have fun watching.
Yes,
Enjoy your evening.
always an entertainment.
Yes, it's just a drive home on that road.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
drive home on your.
So now we're going to take up the library budget proposal. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
guys.
for coming in.
Sure, thank you.
I'll just zoom right
The
in.
next roller here, sister.
Yeah, these are
I
great.
love this
Comes
chair.
Kathy.
They bring it right to the,
Hello,
Hi.
Good evening.
Well,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well.
I just,
Well, you're young.
one of the things I have to report in our report to the state library, which goes on to the whole, all the libraries in the country, compare things together. And I have to report how many registered patrons we have. And, you know, I have this list that goes back to when kids were in grade school, and we had a lot of enrolled people a long time ago. But when we started on the Catamount system, they make you re-up once a year. So
Really? Everybody has to?
everybody has to
Oh.
re-up once a year, and mostly it's easy because they get a note saying you need to re-register, and they say that to us, and we say, has your address changed, has your phone number changed? No, you're fine for another year. So the figures I have for the last year are kind of interesting, which is in fiscal 2014, we had 339 patrons registered. And that was the first year we were doing this, so we didn't catch a lot of people. They were in our numbers, but they didn't year out. So the next year was kind of a little lower. But I just checked this, fiscal 18 was 470.
Wow.
I'm adding here. And I think the major reason for that is, well, we do have this marvelous catalog that is part of the 2020 library consortium right now. So we have a lot of books that are available, and a lot of people borrow a lot of books from all over the state, and we lend a lot of books all over the state. So patrons like that. We also have downloadable audiobooks and ebooks, and I'm seeing a big increase in the numbers. And I was going to make you a chart, but somehow I never got around to it. It was a busy day. But I think the increase in things like that has really been causing a lot of people to want to come to the library.
Oh, could I ask a question?
Yes.
So if people from away want to borrow a book from the Guilford Free Library on interlibrary loan, does that make them one of our patrons?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. These are purely people who are registered in our library.
In Guilford.
And how do you get registered by use, or if you're like, for instance, if you're a donor but not a, you don't?
You register by, I have a form that the kindergarten teacher made for me about 20 years ago. And it said, I
Pretty
promise
simple,
to
huh?
take good care of my books, and I promise to return them on time.
That's
And you
great.
sign it. And I still
You
use
get a
that
number.
form today.
Wow.
So people sign that form.
You have to come in and sign.
Every year they sign that
No,
form? Oh,
just that once, and then we can update it every year. But they sign it once, so somewhere I have it in writing that every person who's ever been a patron of the library, or is now, I have it in writing that they promise to take good care of the books.
So the significance is that the library is thriving and that we are serving more and more residents of our
Yes.
town, which is what we want to happen.
Sure.
So 470,
460.
460 out of a town of 2,100.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it could be better, I think, but we're working on it. And I
20%.
think as more people hear about the audiobooks and they want to do that, they have to get a library card to do that. And so they say, I want to get a library card so I can use this. And it's wonderful.
So on to the budget.
Okay, the budget. You all have copies of it.
I do.
I have glasses. Our income, we're hoping to increase by $4,000.
And that's a fundraising activity.
Expenses, we're hoping to increase by $4,000, obviously.
And what did you just say?
And that's in fundraising activity.
Well, that's the total amount of everything.
Yeah.
We're requesting $35,000 from the town, and we are planning to raise $14,000 with the Friends of the Guilford Free Library doing that. Plus, we sell books that people donate, and we get about $1,000 a year in donations, somewhere around there. We,
And the increase in the town appropriation is based on salary increases. Is
the
that correct?
increase is
Could you clarify
totally
what the salary
on
increases
salaries.
are?
And I did send, did you all get this?
The extra budget sheet? Yeah.
I calculated salaries based on a 3% increase for everyone. Plus, I decided that I really needed more help on the computer end because I'm just not as much of a techie as everyone else is. So Eric Jones has agreed to work for the library for 52 hours for the year at $20 an hour. So that would increase us by about $2,000. The salary levels have been 3% increase, except for the year where we did 5% one year.
And that's equivalent to the 3% increase that the town employees are getting, so. And the library employees are the town employees.
Correct.
So it's,
I don't know that nobody gets holidays or anything like that, but nobody works 35 hours a week.
You're part-time.
Last year, I added a program person to help with the summer camp programs because it was too much for me. In my 20 hours a week, I was working 40 hours a week. And I don't want to do that.
no.
And so we hired the extra person.
Is that Matt?
Matt, to do program things. Alicia does cleaning. Leah G is the assistant librarian.
So, I would point out that you see how much the Friends of the Library is raising philanthropically. In the two lines, fundraising activity and the fundraising letter. That's pretty ambitious, and we believe that it's credible because the letter does very well.
The letter has been marvelously received for the last 2 years, 3 years. We underestimated how much we would get from it, and we were very pleased because we spent it all.
And aren't you increasing, wasn't the line an increase in the amount of grants expected?
I'm,
did you take that
there's
No,
a
it's
little mark
good.
next to the $2,000 next to grants. I'm hoping that we can raise $2,000 in grants this year.
Your
And-
prospects, yeah? Or ideas for where you'll get that?
We have the Friends of the Library who are going to work on
Oh,
it.
I see, okay.
So the Friends of the Library, there's someone who is one of the friends who is devoted to proposal writing,
Oh, I see.
when she can write the proposals.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's ambitious philanthropy, but in my view, I think that we can, that the library can make it. But I just wanted to point out that there's a strenuous effort on the part of the trustees to raise money in addition to the appropriation from the town.
Does anyone have any question about?
Kathy, walk me through the program fees, but line
Program
item, because I
fees.
don't think it's capturing everything that you do in terms of programs.
Program fees, we do a summer program, which is
Right.
our summer reading program, and we now have 4 weeks. 2 weeks are full day and 2 weeks are half day for all ages of kids by the end of the different 4 groups. And we don't charge children from Guilford who attend
Okay.
the program,
Right.
so that's why the program expenses are expensive. We don't charge, but if children are enrolled from out of town, we do charge them $50 a week for a full day program or $25 a week for the half day program. And the first year, we got $200.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
it's not here. The first year, we got out of town children, but since then, we haven't had out of town children. So I only have 100 in there, but last year, we didn't have any out of town children.
Would
Gotcha.
you like to have out-of-town
Well, it would
children
be
to
nice
help
to have the
support the
money.
program? That's what I mean.
It'd be nice to have the money, but we don't really plan for it, except for that $100.
Do you advertise
Who sets
in
up?
some way
We-
to get them, or?
Not until we're sure that everybody in Guilford who wants to come is going to come. We make a big effort to promote it in
Oh, I know.
school and advertise it in school. And at the end, we do put it out, especially for Stage and Stream, which is the one that is kind of acting, sort of drama. Kids are up on the stage at the BBCC. I was about to call it the Grange.
I don't want to put you on the spot out of the top of your head, but how many kids in Guilford utilize the programs that you run, would you say?
I would like more, but,
Is it, it doesn't have to be an I'm just
12,
curious how
24,
many of the,
36, 48.
okay.
Our limit
that's-
is 12 kids
12 kids per
In
camp, and you've
each
got 4.
session.
I got you.
48
Oh, okay.
use it.
And is that based on how many kids you can have per staff member?
I don't know that there are any regulations for our kind of program. It's not a real camp program or something, so it's not regulated that way. But it's what we think one of us can handle, or what a teacher can handle. Generally, the teachers are either teachers from the school or college students. And pretty professional.
Yeah,
But-
sure.
My family took advantage of the camp, and it was a great experience.
Right.
I hope we can keep it going.
Yeah, it's a terrific
So,
benefit to
I
have.
have one question. So, Richard and I were speaking actually about the budget last week when we were planning for tonight's meeting, and one of the things that I was wondering about is, last year with incorporating the library budget into the general budget for the town, one of the things is because you're a municipal library and you're also in a municipally owned building, that certain expenses were going to be, and were budgeted actually for by the select board, but yet I haven't seen any invoices for them, such as your internet and your electric bills. And so I was just curious, were you budgeting for those somewhere else, or where are the funds for those coming from? Because I've been paying for your heating bill.
Correct. We haven't gotten any heating bills, but
So, I was just wondering.
we are getting electric bills, and we're getting. Oh, we haven't. You're right. We haven't gotten any fiber optic bills.
We haven't gotten them here, so I was wondering where
We
they're
get a
going.
grant. We get we get, we're part of E-rate,
E-rate.
I think. And the state applies for the E-rate.
Okay.
And we were, First Light sends us a bill with a negative balance, and it goes up
Okay.
each month.
Okay.
And it was just about zeroed out, we were gonna have to pay, and a credit showed up. So
Okay.
maybe you did, I don't know where the credit came from, I wasn't gonna
Wasn't from anything
complain.
from this
But
office.
I think
Anyway,
what
we
Peter's
haven't
saying is
paid
that the
anything yet.
invoices should be funneled to him so that the town is paying the invoices.
Okay.
Or capturing the income.
Yeah.
Because
Now,
they don't
the
need to be
other
budgeted for doubly. You don't need to
No.
budget for them at
Exactly.
your level, and then the select board also budget for them.
Well, then,
So-
I will take that out of the budget, won't that be nice?
Yeah.
More money for books.
$200.
Electricity is the same way, although Roger and I got into a community solar program a bunch of years ago. And so we donated some of the credits
Okay.
to the library. So that's why the electricity bill has been so low, but I've been paying that. I mean, I should give that to you
Yes.
gladly.
Yes, so you should send that to me.
I will.
Any other questions?
One, the IT support, is that a new person you're bringing on, or have you been working with Eric
Well, I've been working.
over the years? And is that going well, and you're getting
Yeah,
good value?
because it's very
I'm just curious.
informal, and it goes like, Eric, I can't figure out how to get the printer to work.
And he's okay. I was just curious. He's been, I think, a little overstressed.
So
and
why,
I was just-
is it possible, I think you and I spoke about this, for the town's contract with Eric to include the 52 hours that
Yes.
Kathy's talking about?
We did have that discussion.
There's,
So,
there's no reason not to do that, is there?
no, I mean. if
Is it
you-
the
But
same
there's
rate?
no reason to capture it in two budgets either, so, I mean, what are
Right.
you saying? You're saying to do it that way,
That
so.
it would be in the town budget. the
I
tech-
understand
the tech
that, but
line
what's
item.
the simplicity of that over Eric just working with Kathy directly under 52 hours that she needs?
But that's fine with me too. I just think that he would be contracted not to the library per se,
To
but
the
to the
town.
town.
And just whether he's providing services to
To
the
the
town
library.
office or to the
But
library,
that's
still
fine.
to the town.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was,
That's the way you
that's what I
want
thought,
to
but
do it.
streamlining.
No, that
Fine.
makes sense if,
So I should tell him to put his hours to you instead of me?
if that, I mean,
Do we have to vote on that?
no, because in that,
well, we did vote to bring Eric on, no, not for his annual hours, we did it for the website, but.
let me, since we're sitting in the middle of the meeting, let me get back to the select board on that.
Okay.
I don't want to waste time. I will get back to select board on
Great, I love that, not wasting time.
Yes,
Uh,
he does.
So what steps do we need to take? This just gets folded in and out to the town's budget, doesn't it? We don't need to vote on this, do we? Or do we?
No, you don't need to make a specific motion. It just, if you wanted there to be any changes to it, then you would have to ask Kathy to go back to the trustees to make adjustments. If because the only, as I was talking about with Gordon beforehand, the select board only really has a say on the total number that Kathy presents to the select board, not the specific line items.
Right, by regulation
So
of the
if-
state of Vermont.
That's correct. So if you feel comfortable with the budget she's proposed to you, then we will just incorporate it into the rest of our budget planning. In fact, I think we'll get to the library section this week when we have our budget meeting, and there's no formal action is needed. We just, thank
So
you.
is everybody set? Is everybody okay with
Yes,
this?
I mean, I think the clarity for the people of the town of Guilford is that the primary increase is coming from
Salaries.
the additional help in terms of Eric and then Matt with the programming.
And the
then-
3% increase.
And the 3% increase. But overall, it's almost 10% increase, but if you just look at that, it's a significant increase unless you bring it down to understanding exactly where those increases are coming from, so I think it's important.
Excellent, thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
On to the Cat 4 Exercise Acts Action Report.
Yes, so I'll give you all a copy of this if you want to see a paper version of it. This is what you all received in the digital
reads better.
folder. So, you can, the first 3 pages are actually the detailed documentation of it, so we're gonna skip by that, and we're just gonna go to the spreadsheet in the back. That way, for those of us who are not feeling well, we can move through this more quickly.
Make me laugh.
So last Wednesday, I met with Rich Cogliano, and we went over the details of this.
Does everyone know who Rich is?
Yes, he's the regional coordinator for Vermont Emergency Management for our region. So this was broken down, the action report was broken down into 3 general sections. The first one is operational coordination, the second is operational communications, and the third is mass care services. So from there, he broke it down into whether or not there were issues or areas for improvement, or he also included in there positive things that he felt went really well, and so there were several things. I don't know if you want to go through all of the specifics of the corrective actions. I'm not going to go through the details of his recommended steps and completion dates. There are a few things on here that he felt were specific that I would like to highlight, and that is that he felt that, and this is something that those of us who participated talked about with him after the event had occurred, and that is to more clearly identify specific roles for volunteers in particular to have in the event of an emergency, as well as for select board members. And so there's a couple of sub-items that go along with that.
So that should be prepared now, right? I mean,
So that's actually something that I'm going to start working on with him just after the New Year's. So in the beginning of the new year, we have to update with our local emergency management plan, something that we do every year. And in doing so, he really felt that was a perfect time to incorporate this, because those roles get specified in the LEMP. And so that is just it kind of coincides in a good time frame for doing that.
And you have not yet circled with Sheila. I know that some of that data's been captured.
Oh, it has been,
And
but
we have a document, I think.
it's already in the LMP.
Okay.
But he feels that the way that our current one is written is after this experience.
Well, I understand what happened at the experience, because a lot of us hadn't looked at that and reviewed it. So
Right.
I understand what happened at the exercise, but
He was comparing the experience of the exercises with what we have defined in
Gotcha.
the LEMP.
Fair enough.
And
Okay.
his recommendation, he said it's up to the select board to take the action. He thinks it needs to be more specific.
good. Okay.
And based on the more detailed explanation he gave in our meeting, I see his point.
I agree. Fair enough.
So he did, one of the really positive notes that he actually passed this on up to the state level is he felt that we did a really good job of having a collective knowledge of additional resources for. So during our exercise, we had about every 15 minutes we had a mock phone call. Somebody would call here and had some kind of situation or event. Some of them, they were all a result of the
flood.
The mock flood that we had. Some of them were actions that we had to take as the town, and others were
Out of
just
our purview.
Yeah, out of our purview. They were just residents who didn't know who else to call in the event of an emergency, and had concerns and questions and didn't know what to do. And the collective knowledge that we had, Rich really felt for other resources in the greater, both Guilford community as well as southern Windham County community, he thought was really outstanding. And he actually recommended for me to work with Windham Regional Commission to put together a resource manual for all towns in Windham County, so that in this event, that, you know, whether it's an EMD or it's a town administrator, whoever it is, will have this packet and say, okay, when someone calls me with this problem, that doesn't relate to the town, we can at least point them to this resource. And so he already connected me with Alyssa and said, I think this is a really good thing to do for everyone.
That's great.
What stands out to me, Peter, is a couple of things. Explore moving the primary EOC to the town office and keeping the fire station as a backup location.
Yes.
I mean, that's a significant.
Yep, so that was the next thing I was going to point out. Partially because a majority of the resources we need are already in this building. We have a few things over there that they can be easily moved. The second part of that is, in the event of a real emergency, as happened with Irene, is our fire department is going to be full of people. And there's just not going to be the capacity for the select board and EMD to really have space to do the work that needs to be done in the event of emergency. And so he would like to recommend to the select board to consider making the town office the primary EOC. So basically switching the two, because the town office has been the secondary, and now the fact that you have the generator here. So we have generator, we have high-speed internet, which are all the same things we have over there. But we also have our server, which has a lot of the data that we would need in that type of situation.
Is the radio tower ours or theirs?
That belongs, so that's the main hiccup, is the radio tower at the fire department belongs to the fire department.
Yeah,
So Richard said, that's one of the actual additional points that he noted from our event, due to one of our difficulties we had was in communication. Because at one point, phones, both cell phones and landlines were not working during our event.
So they set up a portable,
Yeah.
basically, and they couldn't get the proper reception that they wanted.
Yeah.
So we've got to go more vertical.
And so they do have a recommendation to us to put actually 2 antennas on this building, one for low band, and the other one is for, forgetting the type of, anyhow. So that was also tied into making this the primary ESC, is you'd have to do that.
So how do we go about doing that?
Good grant might be out there that we could get some support from.
Well, I mean, that's possible, but I was thinking of, in terms of what action do we need to take as a select board to make this the primary EOC?
So you would need to have a motion and approve that motion, and then it would need to be documented when we update both the local emergency operations plan and the LEMP, the local emergency management plan.
Can we do that before this facility is up and running as a full EOC?
He said you can do it whenever you want to. And so basically it would mean moving some of the stuff that's over there, over here. And, he put an estimated time frame, for, should you decide to do that, of a year from now. So it can happen in phases, so you can make the motion and we can have it happen. I can move a lot of those things over here, and then since we're in the budgeting process, if that's a decision you make, we can.
So the motion could say over the next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me.
No, Veranda, you had something to say.
Yeah.
Well, because the town office is closed and locked on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then I'm assuming.
The key's under the mat.
Okay.
Yes, we would be able to get into the.
All right.
It's no, I mean.
No, I think that's a very good point.
No, it is.
It's a
It's
valid
same
concern
as
and point.
the
However, I
fire
would also
station.
state that it's no different than the fire department. The fire department is locked 24/7 unless there's an emergency.
Well, I'm
And so-
so relieved.
And so those who have access to the current EOC already have access to it.
And he's the EMD,
Yeah.
Right.
who has the key.
Are the majority of like the sat phones and everything, are those the town's EOC? All that
four
stuff?
of the satellite
And
phones are owned by the
The
town.
computer
Yep.
that's down there and all that?
Yep.
Okay.
So do we want to make a motion at this time to make the town office
I'll make a
building?
motion, I think we
Does
should.
the fire department have
Would you
any
put-
Yes,
notion that this is?
well, the
in
fire
works, or-
department, Jared would like us out of the fire department.
Yeah.
And could you put a time frame on that, or say over
Yes, a
a
year.
year?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, so
we would
he's
achieve
all for it?
some of these objectives.
Yes. Jared would prefer that the town operates the EOC out of
he would
here.
like that.
For the very reasons. It's
Space.
crowded and complicated. Even when we did the exercise, it was crowded and complicated because of their volunteers coming in.
And actually, a conversation I was having with the guys over at the garage this afternoon, when I was chatting with Dan, is that doing so, we could also move all of the emergency supplies, the cots, the blankets, all those things that don't actually have a storage place at the fire department. They're just haphazardly put wherever they can find. We've got space upstairs. We could make a dedicated corner in our attic.
Right.
Since you guys paid to have the attic finished off for all
Roughly.
those supplies.
Right.
And they can have a dedicated, because there's not room for them at the church.
Yep.
And then we will know where they are, and we don't have to go digging and looking for them like
Yep.
we
Okay,
had to.
so if we.
So I would like to make a motion that we move the EOC as its primary residence from the fire department to the town building over the course of the
Town
next year's
office.
town
Can we
office.
put in there,
Sure.
and I'm just asking a question, I don't have an answer to it, but could we put in there, following the Mr. Cogliano's recommendations for what is needed? Because, I
Sure.
mean, these are very good recommendations
Sure.
for,
I
so,
think that's a good idea.
okay.
So would you like to?
That's this building we're proposing to
Yes.
store there?
So
Do
would
we
you
have
like-
we have the structural capacity?
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, it's a good question. When I joined the select when we did our first exercise, and this will take a couple minutes to explain, but
Oh,
a lot of questions came up. Why isn't this the EOC? And the whole premise of the reasons behind it was that we didn't have that generator. Once the generator was installed, it's much easier for the town to run what the town needs to from this facility. It coordinates with the fire department very cleanly, but we can do that, easily. But other than that, it almost, to me, seemed like this would be a much better place to do it from, because we had our own space, basically, to run the EOC.
So do you have that?
I'll second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Would you like to read the motion?
I was just
for
going
us?
to suggest.
And I am correct, and you have the same impression from Jared, that he would prefer.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He said that to us.
Yeah, he did.
He
I just
just
wanted, no one else commented, so I
No,
wanted
he-
to make sure.
He
I was
very
interpreting
clearly
that.
stated that the last time he was here.
Can I ask what battle rhythm is?
You get into a rhythm.
We got
Yeah,
into a
it-
battle rhythm.
We did,
It-
that's what
it-
he was
it's-
saying.
It's a phrase that is borrowed from the military.
We
When,
figured.
yeah, when a group gets into a rhythm, a defined
process,
rhythm,
yeah.
in process where everyone has a specific role to do, and when it needs to happen, that person is on it without being told.
Yeah, it's automatic.
It's automatic.
Everyone's responding.
And that,
to
in our
their-
exercise, that actually happened.
That actually happened
Yeah.
by accident.
Yeah.
It just,
It did happen by accident.
It happened.
But we got into the rhythm.
We did.
Also
I have a
known
question.
as a well-oiled machine.
I'm
So,
satisfied with that answer.
Okay,
so
so-
Gordon, you're proposing just this one point to be pulled out right
yes,
now.
I mean, I think
No, oh, I was
Peter's gonna
suggesting,
be working on all these points. so-
I
Yeah,
was-
so
yes,
do we
I
need
was-
to adopt this whole, this entire thing as?
No. You don't need.
no, I was going to, my addition to the motion was that it would include incorporating the recommendations for the EOC
Oh,
that Cogliano
the
made.
continuing. all
These
of
recommendations,
Oh, I see, okay.
yeah.
Right.
The structural ones particularly, that's the ones that
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
So Gordon, this is what I have as your motion.
Okay.
Please let me know if I
Okay.
captured it correctly. So that you move to change the location of the primary EOC from Guilford Volunteer Fire Department to the town office and its related actions to be completed over the course of the next calendar year per recommendations of Rich Cogliano in the after action report.
That's
Correct.
correct.
Well
Excellent.
captured.
Okay. And I'm sorry, who seconded that? Zahn did?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent, the motion carries
Can I
unanimously.
have one more question?
Yes, Sure. please.
So I just would need to understand if the dates out here on the end, are these his recommendations for dates?
So these are recommendations that he and I worked on
Work
together.
there. So
It was-
you consider these reasonable, in other words?
I do. So
Yeah.
he did not fill any of these in unless I felt they were reasonable. And it was a back and forth because
Yeah.
some of the things, I asked him what he thought was a reasonable time frame. to accomplish these things.
Okay, I just want to, if you're going to start moving forward, or if we need to
Right.
watch it, we want to make sure it's reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah, right?
So,
Well, interestingly, the antenna is a 2-year
correct.
window on it.
That's
So,
correct.
But I think if we're gonna make this the primary OC, we may have to move a little swifter than that.
So, of the various recommendations at the moment, the only one that required a formal action was the one that you just took.
Was the one
Now,
to move the facility.
the other thing I would just say with that is there are, a number of recommendations here in the timeline. Obviously, most of them are for me, some of them are for me as town administrator, some of them are for me as EMD. You don't need to take any formal action, but as some of the action points that you have for me in other select board meetings, you just instruct me, yes, start to do these tasks. That's what the remainder of these would be.
But
Most-
keeping tabs on it is.
Yeah,
that's
and that
the
should go
point,
into the
is very well.
spreadsheet of the select board project,
Yes.
project sheet. Would you add that?
I will.
And that should be an action step.
I am doing so now.
Thank you.
Good
Okay.
recap though, Peter.
That was
thank you.
good. It was a fun exercise.
It was, I thought it
I'd like
went
to do it another time. I'm sorry, I wasn't available.
We missed you. Okay, Rise Vermont Amplify grant.
This is very easy. I just wanted to let everyone know that we received our grant. Was actually the day that Richard and I met. While we were meeting, he was getting ready to leave, and I turned around because my email made a little dinging noise, and we were notified that we received a grant for $550 to purchase 2 bike racks, one
Oh, I see.
for the town office and one for the library.
And that now we have a gold star.
And so now we have received our gold star for the 3-4-50 project.
Did you bring them to put on?
We actually got the images that we want to put on our website.
Yep, we got
Oh.
we were given permission to use logos from both, the Department of Health as well as the Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition and BMH.
Great.
And so I shared those with Richard. They didn't give us any specific language to use, but they said that we are welcome to pick and choose from some of the language they have on their website and kind of mold it to fit what we would like to do.
Make
So
it sound like Guilford.
Exactly. And so what I'm gonna be
That
this
Guilford
week.
So
Yeah.
he'll pass that on to you when he drafts it, okay?
Sure.
So, yeah.
That'd be
Thank you.
great.
Indeed.
I think it's nice, it's a lovely partnership, and I think we can understand and agree on what kind of language will appeal to our neighbors.
Yes,
Yep. And I ordered them today.
great.
Great.
Okay,
awesome.
on to the warrants. We're moving right along, aren't we, Gordon?
Okay,
Chop,
Richard,
chop.
I will make a motion to pay the following warrants. Payroll week ending 12/1/19 for $7,721. Payroll week ending 12/8/19 for $10,350.59. And expense warrant number 2011 for $30,049.52 for a grand total of $48,121.11.
Second.
And I will just quickly add on expense warrant, number 2011, things that stood out to me as more significant were our VLCT packet insurance premium, quarterly premium of $12,000. Our Memir's retirement number of $4,500 was also included in that. And then other than that, it was really general highway repairs that stood out. Anything else?
Equipment repairs, and they got another fairly sizable load of gravel.
Gravel.
He's got like 8 grand
Yep.
on gravel.
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Zon already did.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Zon.
Before the
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Communications, Peter.
We do not have any communications this week.
Excellent. Now, in regard to the action summaries here, shouldn't those be enumerated? Because we want to be able to look
See,
at the actions that we
I-
want to be listed to see how we're.
Sure, when we met last week, you and I had talked about doing it or not doing it, and we had left it as not enumerating them on the agenda specifically.
But we should have it on the agenda, I think.
If you have changed your mind, that's
Does anybody
perfectly.
disagree?
No, I don't see why it wouldn't be included on the agenda.
Yeah. So in
That's
other words,
fine.
it's we're looking at the
It's
action so
clean,
that we
I think.
can, we can
That's
see
fine.
how we've achieved them.
I was just basing it off of our meeting last week, that's all. I am happy to change it. I have the actions here from last week in front of me. So there was the approval of the minutes. You approved the resolution supporting municipal authority and commercial cannabis. I was instructed to coordinate a meeting with Jared, John, and the 2 Guilford School District representatives.
So now we
which
can ask you, have you done that?
I have begun that process, and I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Okay.
You also instructed me to reschedule the select board budget meeting, which we did for the 17th of this month. And that will be posted as per usual. You also instructed me to write a letter of support for CC4G for their grant application, their joint grant application with Delta Industries, which I did and Richard reviewed, and they were very enthusiastic about the letter.
It's brilliant.
And so, and
I would
then,
expect no less.
and then Shyla from the
Research.
Department of Health was going to send me
It's not.
logos for our website use, which she did. She did last week, and then you approved the warrants.
Great, so in the future, we'll have them so that we
I'm
can.
happy to do so.
So it's a checklist for
Yep.
us, yeah.
No problem at all.
Wonderful, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, do I have a second?
Certainly.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
That's an
opposed?
action step,
Let's step.
but
Wow.
we do have to.
And it's
sign.
7:21.
Thank you.
Go, dude. And cut.